Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Upgrades. I'm Jeremy Knoll.
And I'm John Suarez.
And today we are talking about the Doctor Who Commander deck, Blast from the Past. So there are 4 Doctor Who decks and a bunch more cards. They released a ton of cards that are in the collector boosters as well. This first deck, Blast from the Past, is everything from the first Doctor up through the 9th Doctor, I believe it was 8th. 8th Doctor, yes, yep. 8th Doctor. 9th Doctor is when they restarted the series in 2005. So this is all the classic episodes. So I haven't really watched a lot of these. I don't think a lot of people watch the first couple seasons.
I was going to say, I don't think many people in this country at least.
Yeah, they're a little bit, if you don't know the history behind it, apparently the BBC reused tapes quite a bit and taped over the first couple seasons at some point. So you can still find some of them, but they're really difficult to find. But yeah, this one's got a lot of the classic Doctors all the way from 1st through 8th. And we're going to go over just a couple of cards. So there are 50 new cards in each of these decks.
Like 5-0?
5-0.
That's half.
In every one of these decks. That's a lot. I don't even think, did the Warhammer decks have
No, I think they had 40.
40, yeah. So this is 50 brand new cards. Of course, coming from Gavin Verhey, who's a giant fan of Doctor Who, we knew that we were going to get a lot of really cool stuff coming out. So the Blast from the Past deck is green, blue, and white. And it seems like it involves a lot of legends.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Given that it has 8 Doctors at least.
Yeah. 8 Doctors and all the companions. I believe that there is only one non-legendary creature card, out of all of the creatures that are in the deck.
Wow.
Yeah. I went through and double-checked this. So this really is a kind of a Legendary Matters deck a little bit. Obviously, like you said, it has the 8 Doctors, has all the companions, it has a bunch of other cards that really deal with that, but there's also just the one non-legendary creature in the whole deck. So we're going to go over the face cards, a couple of the new cards from the deck, and then a few cards that we would suggest adding in with our usual $5 budget, and a few cards that we would suggest taking out. So first up, we have the 4th Doctor, who is the face card of this deck, along with the companion, Sarah Jane Smith. So the 4th Doctor, 2 green and blue, 4/4 legendary creature, Time Lord Doctor. You may look at the top card of your library at any time, and then has the ability, Would You Like a, which is one of his catchphrases from the show. Once each turn, you may play a historic land or cast a historic spell from the top of your library. When you do, create a food token. So as we said, it's all about the historic. Obviously, not just legendaries. It also adds in the artifacts and the sagas in there as well. There's a few sagas in every single deck as well to add into it. And Sarah Jane Smith is a 1 and a white, 2/1 legendary creature, human detective. Whenever you cast a historic spell, investigate. This ability triggers only once each turn and has Doctor's Companion. Doctor's Companion says specifically you can only pair it with a Time Lord Doctor, nothing else. This has been established a couple of times. You can't play Morphon with one of the Doctor's Companion cards. But
why do you think they chose the 4th Doctor?
I am not sure. I think he's...
Was that like the most popular?
I think he's one of the more iconic ones because Tom Baker definitely has like this big scarf, and I know that Sarah Jane is one of the more popular companions that came out of that set of ones. She actually came back in the 2005 reboots since it was rebooted. She came back for a couple episodes and then was, I think, maybe one episode, maybe a couple, and then was spun off into a separate show called the Sarah Jane Sarah Jane Smith Chronicles, something like that. The Adventures of Sarah Jane Smith, something like that. But yeah, there was a spin-off show that was centered around her that lasted, I believe, until the actress passed away in 2011 or something like that. But yeah, don't quote me on that. Again,
they already have.
Yeah, they've definitely are in the comments saying no, it was this, it was that. But the 4th Doctor, yeah, Tom Baker was definitely one of the more iconic ones with his scarf and his hat.
And his gummy worms.
And it was Jelly Babies, I believe. Would you like a jelly baby? I believe is the full quote. Out of all of these, Tom Baker was definitely one of the top ones. So, but yeah, as I said, it is very much a legendary. It's a historic deck. It's a Legendaries Matter deck.
Very much so is. As I'm looking at all of these, they're just all historic related legendary creature. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
So now we're going to look at the 1st Doctor as one of our new cards.
Yes, our 1st Doctor, colorless white, blue, 2/2. These are all Time Lord Doctors. When it enters the battlefield, you search your library and or graveyard for a card named TARDIS. Reveal it, put it to your hand, and if you search your library, you shuffle. And then whenever you cast a spell with Cascade, put a +1/+1 counter on target artifact or creature.
You know I love Cascade.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. There's some really interesting stuff in here. A lot of it is like pretty much almost all the Doctor decks, the 3 decks that are revolving around the Doctors, have something to do with cards that are cast from outside of the game.
Even
Cascade.
the other one.
The Master of Evil does actually have that too. Yep, have something to do with outside of the game. Either they're cascading or suspending or playing something. So it's
foretelling.
Yeah, foretelling. Lots of really cool stuff going on here. The second Doctor is 2 white blue, 2/4 legendary creature Time Lord Doctor. Players have no maximum hand size. And then how civil of you is at the beginning of your end step, each player may draw a card. Each opponent who does can't attack you or permanents you control during their next turn. So
I like that.
Yeah, it kind of one of the things I really like is all of these kind of work really well together, but they really went a little bit far to make sure that each of them actually it would have like a separate identity.
Yeah.
And if you decided to make that your commander for a specific deck, you could build something completely different.
Yep.
This one is going to be great as a group hug style.
Yep, just stay away from me.
Stay away from me. I'm going to give you a little bit extra, but you can't attack me this turn.
I like it a lot.
So lots of really cool stuff going on there.
We have the third Doctor for 2 colors green blue. It's a 2/2 trample, and it gets +1/+1 for each non-creature token you control. Whenever it enters the battlefield, create your choice of a clue, food, or treasure. That's a sweet one.
Yeah, that one's sweet. It is just enter the battlefield, but it gets so much bigger if you've got like any of the cards that give you a bunch of food or a bunch of bunch of treasures or whatever. It can get so big so quick and has trample, so it's got that.
If you have a stash for the bootleggers with a third Doctor, it's going to get out of hand real fast.
Yeah, it is. The fifth Doctor is 2 white and a blue, 2/2, and it has peaceful coexistence. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control that didn't attack or enter the battlefield this turn. Untap those creatures. Kind of another cool, stay away from me a little bit. Really building up your army as you go kind of thing. So,
all right, we got the sixth Doctor, 4 colors green blue, 3/3. It has Time Lord's Prerogative. Whenever you cast a historic spell, copy it, except the copy isn't legendary, and it only triggers once each turn.
Yep. Yeah, that one's really cool. It is 6 mana.
It is.
But it is, whenever you cast a historic spell. So
powerful.
If you're playing any sort of green blue, like there's like the Volo card that gets a bunch of the different creatures, different types, and stuff like that. And I'm just trying to think of like other ones that could be really cool with this that just you're gonna get a whole bunch of legendaries that can go in and just start taking over with all of those.
Well, not even legendaries.
Copies. Yeah,
artifacts.
with just artifacts. Yeah, and all that stuff too. The seventh Doctor is 3 a blue and a white, 3/6, and whenever the seventh Doctor attacks, choose a card in your hand. Defending player guesses whether that card's mana value is greater than the number of artifacts you control. If they guessed wrong, you can cast it without paying its mana cost. If you don't, you investigate. That's such a cool choice. I love that.
Interesting.
Yeah, just being able to sort of manipulate your board a little bit with the amount of artifacts you have, and then just okay, I only have 4. Would you like to guess as to whether or not this one is more or less? If not, I get to play it for free. So I like that one a lot. I think that one's really cool.
Interesting. That is a weird card.
Yeah.
All right, the eighth Doctor, 4 colors, white, blue, 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards, and once during each of your turns, you may play a historic land or cast a historic permanent spell from your graveyard. If you do, it gains. If this permanent would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else.
Yeah. I believe the 8th Doctor, and I have to triple check this, but I believe the 8th Doctor was the Doctor that was Paul McGann, who was in the U.S. made Doctor Who film where they tried to, after the initial BBC run was coming to an end, they tried to bring it over to the U.S. So he's kind of a little bit out there, and I think that this is really cool that he is fairly different from the rest of them.
Wildly.
With milling yourself 3 cards in blue-white is already kind of like a wait a minute, that's and then playing historic land or historic permanent from your graveyard is just such a cool thing. The last one that I had to point out, this is the one that's the only non-legendary creature that's in the deck, and that's Displaced Dinosaurs. And this card, I believe, has already gotten a decent amount of hype on social media
Sure.
and within groups. It's 5 green green creature dinosaur 7/7. As a historic permanent enters the battlefield under your control, it becomes a 7/7 dinosaur creature in addition to its other types. Period. Not until end of turn.
Yeah, just period. That's just what it is.
Anytime you cast
Treasure.
a Dockside Extortionist
Yeah.
or anything that's going to make sort of like any sort of tokens,
Yeah.
you're just going to get 7/7 dinosaurs. They're still treasure tokens or they're still like food or whatever, but you just have a massive army of 7/7 dinosaurs now.
With the 7th Doctor, I just want them to guess wrong.
Yeah.
Or guess right, so I could just put a 7/7 into play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's also nice that's, I don't know if it's an intentional plant, but I imagine it is.
Yeah.
As we have the Jurassic Park sets coming up soon, too. So
Yeah, we have
it's nice to get dinosaurs.
The Universes Beyond, Lost Caverns of Ixalan, Jurassic World sort of thing going on. Now that we've gone over those, we'll tell you a couple of cards that we would suggest adding. Like usual, this is going to be cards that are around or under our $5 limit is what we like to do for the upgrades, just to give you some options, not make it too expensive, buy the precon, buy all these extra cards to go in it. The first one is kind of an honorable mention. That's Maskwood Nexus. So it's 4 mana. Creatures you control are every creature type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. And then 3, tap it. You can create a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token with Changeling. So the reason that this is in the deck, or that's suggested and that it's an honorable mention, is that there is the card Gallifrey Stands, which is the enchantment that says, when entering the battlefield, return all Doctor cards from your graveyard to your hand, and then you can put Doctor creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield at the beginning of your upkeep. Then, if you control 13 or more Doctors, you win the game. So that last part doesn't really work with this deck by itself because there's not 13 Doctors in the deck. There's only 8. So this is an easy way to make sure that all of your human companions and your other Time Lords are Doctors as well, and also that you can just go grab them all from the graveyard, put them in your hand, and put them into the battlefield as you go, and make the Changelings if you really want to win with that.
You mean Doctors?
Yeah, the Doctors. That if you really want to win with that. So,
cool. Next card we have is the first saga that we're covering, the 11th Hour. It's 3 colors and a blue. It is just a saga. It does not have read ahead, so you have to go in order. Chapter 1 is search your library for a Doctor card, reveal it, put it to your hand, then shuffle. Chapter 2 is create a food token and a 1/1 white human token with Doctor spells you cast cost 1 less. And Chapter 3 is create a token that's a copy of target creature, except it's a legendary alien named Prisoner Zero.
So this one is from one of the other Doctor Who decks, obviously, and it just kind of slots right into this one very easily. Not only do you just get to search for another Doctor, but you get another token that also randomly makes your Doctors cost less, and you can just make another token that's legendary, whatever. So you can pick whatever their best thing is. The next one is Goldforge Thopteryx from, I believe this was originally in
That looks like
Aftermath.
Maybe an Hour Devastation or something from Amonkhet. You can see the Amonkhet.
Not sure where this. Yeah, this is originally from Goldforged Thopteryx. It's a blue and a white 1/3 artifact creature dinosaur Thopter. Flying lifelink. Each legendary permanent you control has Ward 2. Pretty straightforward. Gives all these legendary creatures in your deck Ward, and it's just a 1/3 flying lifelink.
It's also a dinosaur.
It is also a dinosaur.
Love it. And you were correct. That is from March of the Machine.
March of the Machine. Okay.
All right. Next card we have is the goodest of boys.
Yeah.
Yoshimaru Ever Faithful. 1 white, 1/1. The legendary creature dog. Whenever another legendary permanent enters the battlefield in your control, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. As partner, don't need to worry about that because it can't partner with a Doctor, unfortunately.
And who is the best companion? Obviously, your faithful dog. So Yoshimaru Ever Faithful should be in there.
Got it.
As the best companion, the goodest companion. And then the next one we have is Relic of Legends. So this one's a 3 mana artifact. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. Tap an untapped legendary creature you control. Add 1 mana of any color. From DMU, this one was, I think, not as played as it should be, but is definitely really, really good in any sort of Legendary Matters deck.
It was really good in the Planeswalker deck.
Yes.
And the last one we have is Urza's Ruinous Blast, which is not on theme. We'll call it Who's Ruinous Blast. That won't confuse anybody.
No.
4 colors and a white, legendary sorcery. Exile all non-land permanents that aren't legendary. So all your Doctors will hang around, all the companions will hang around. But everything else, gone.
Yeah, a really good way to get rid of everything that they've got going on if they're not playing another Doctor deck. All right, so cards that we would suggest removing, yes?
The first card you suggest removing is just the card you were talking about.
Yeah, it's the Gallifrey Stand, so it's the enchantment. It's, again, if you're trying to aim for that, like, getting all the Doctors in, great. If not, it's a 6-mana enchantment that's...
It returns your stuff to your hand. If it returned it to play, that'd be a lot better.
If you turn it to play, it'd be fantastic. It'd be so good.
That's fair.
It returns it to hand, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, you can put one Doctor in.
Yeah.
Good. Not great.
That's
I
fair.
think I'd probably cut it to add in, like, you know, something else that's going to be a little bit more impactful on the game.
Now, this card, Susan Foreman.
Yeah, Susan Foreman's a 1 and a green, 1/1 legendary creature Time Lord. If you would Planeswalk, instead look at the top 2 cards of your Planar deck, put one on the bottom of your Planar deck and the other on top, then Planeswalk, and then it taps to add a green and it has Doctor's Companion.
Yeah.
So if you just ignore the entire first part, if you're not playing Plane Chase, it's a 1/1 for 2 that taps for a green.
That's not bad as a companion.
I guess, yeah.
If you had it as a companion.
If it's a secondary commander in the command zone.
That's not horrible. Then you always have the turn 2 ramp. That's not horrible. But yeah, it's not that great.
Yeah, like for the most part, I'm not going to be playing a 1/1 for 2 that taps for green in most of my decks, unless it's like elf type. That's just going to be, you know, but there's so many more elves to go with too.
Oh, this next card is sweet. Traverse Eternity.
It's such a cool card, and it's like, that's the problem. There's 50 new cards in these decks, and if you're going to cut cards, it's like...
You're going to cut the new ones because the reprints are all good.
Yeah, the reprints are all established. They've put in their bona fides. You know what they're going to do. These ones are a little bit harder. I would definitely just play with these cards, see how you feel about them first, and then go with it. But
yeah, but this draws cards equal to the highest mana value among historic permanents you control. It's a 4-mana sorcery.
Yeah.
I could see it not being great,
so
but I could also see it being obnoxious.
One of the reasons I suggest cutting it from this deck is it's 4-mana sorcery, and your average mana value on historic permanents in the deck is a little bit above 3. Okay. It's like a 3.2. There are a couple that are 6 mana, so you might get to be able to hit those, but like your main commander is 4, and your companion is 2, and like unless you hit one of these sagas or you know, something like that, that's a 6 mana, you're probably going to be paying 4 mana to draw 4 cards, maybe 3.
4 cards, it's okay. 3 cards, you're playing concentrated. That card's not good.
Yeah, that card's not good.
It needs to be at least 4 for it to be
like
okay.
For the most part, I think you could do this because, again, you've got your 4 mana value commander that's going to be in the command zone most of the time. But
no, you're right.
Yeah, like
cool card, but I agree.
It's cool, but I don't know. The next one is Twice Upon a Time. It's a adventure card. It's 4 blue for a sorcery, but it also has the Unlikely Meeting for 2 and a blue sorcery adventure. Search your library for a Doctor card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Fine, 2 and a blue tutor. It's whatever, you know. If you're really getting, like, aiming for that Doctor theme, it's good. And then the 4 blue sorcery aspect of it is cast the spell only if you control 2 or more Doctors. Take an extra turn after this one. Exile Twice Upon a Time.
It's a cool card.
It's a time,
but
you know, time warp. The problem is, so when this was revealed, I think that Saffron Olive on online posted like one of the best takes. Do you really want to be the person that has a time walk effect sitting there face up for everybody to see, waiting to get cast?
That's fair.
You're just going to become a target.
Yeah, and the tutor is not great. It feels like a 2-mana tutor or a 1-mana tutor since it's so restrictive.
Yeah.
Art's sweet.
The art is very cool.
I like everything about it.
Yeah, they have a Christmas episode every season, pretty much every season, and there are usually specials that are between seasons. It's usually like when the Doctor regenerates, really cool stuff happens, and so like that's evocative of that, those specials that's going on. So,
last card you took out was Ace's baseball bat. I don't know who Ace is, but I feel like he would be upset.
Ace is in the deck.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 mana, legendary artifact equipment. It gets +3/+0 for equip 3. That's not great. It is equip 1 if you're equipping it to a legend.
Correct.
That's not horrible, though. And then as long as it's equipped attacking, it gets first strike and must be blocked, if able, by a, I believe that's a Dalek.
A Dalek.
A Dalek. There you go. So it has to be blocked by that.
There's Ace. She's one of the earlier companions, I believe.
Okay.
But yeah. Has to be blocked by a Dalek if able. So this one's like one of those that's like pretty good if you're going to be playing it within the pod of the 4 decks.
Sure.
Otherwise, it's fine. Like you're gonna have a couple other different options that are gonna be better as far as equipment goes. But it is very cool. It's very evocative. It's very flavorful, like all these other 50 cards. But yeah, that is our upgrade guide for the Blast from the Past deck. Let us know what cards you would add to the deck and what cards you would take out. Because again, these are so cool. All of these cards are so cool, and there's so many new ones. So it's difficult to figure out which ones you would take out.
It is.
So let us know what cards you would add in and what cards you would take out. Make sure to check out the rest of the Doctor Who Upgrades episode on this channel, and we will see you next time.